tonight's show, we're talking about symptoms of a spiritual awakening. And I'm answering all your questions with live readings coming up right now.
Does it look like a Devin or David?
David is his name. It's been so spot on.
And I don't know if you put it in the side of your end table or not. You like to summon your end table. Too.
My God, we're crazy.
Yeah.
You might be hard on your right knee when you're running. Make sure you're not too hard on the right knee.
100%.
Okay.
Honey, I'm a runway walker. Okay.
I don't know if she's showing me flowers. Like, relay them or redo them. These purple flowers.
Oh my God, Scott, the flowers are right there. My orchids are purple. They completely are dead.
Yeah.
Did you even know? You nailed everything, every single thing. Listen, everyone, this guy.
Tell me something that he told you that came true.
Everything he's predicted has come true.
I just don't see it.
Who doesn't have cancer?
It's very possible.
Tamara's psychic who first questioned Brooke's cancer.
Scott Cruz.
Oh, there
I know his last name.
You better question yourself. We're here to bring enlightenment, not confusion.
You might encounter negative aspects of self, but that's a freeing experience.
Because then they start realizing that they can't think outside the box. And I say, if you can't think outside the box, then who's the stupid one here?
We've all co-created this matrix. So if you don't like the matrix, that's you saying that you don't like your own reality, what you're creating for yourself. So we're all equal participants of the creation of this matrix. I don't just come on here and talk, repeat. I'm living it.
In harmony with nature, in a mystical adventure, we're building on a culture.
Hello, beautiful souls. Happy Thursday Night Live. How has your all week been? Welcome to the Cruisyverse. Welcome aboard. It's been an interesting week of revelations and realizations. And I think that's been kind of my theme for 2025 overall. That beginning in May, the month of May, and it's kind of taken its course of that movement. And so don't be too hard on yourselves during this time, and don't be hard on others during this time, because it's a time that we're supposed to be in acceptance and aware about why people are going what they're going through, why we're going what we're going through, and we're all got our own shit. Okay? No one's free from shit. And so, I was about to go in a very bad, dirty joke there with that one, but I'm going to reserve that. But we have to be understanding about that. And, it's not about, how we're evolving. It's if we're evolving, and allowance of such. And this way we can have complete understanding what's going on with us, make the changes that we need to make to have a better experience, as well helping others to do the same. That becomes more of a pleasurable experience, less judgmental, and more just, again, understanding why we have the life that we have and why we're living the lives that we're living, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay, same thing we always say in the spiritual community is that there's a reason for everything, right? But let's see who is Chatty Cathy in the room. Why did my other, I don't know, the retrograde energy has been kind of odd. Look at how weird the tech was. It was kind of, a lot of tech issues this week primarily. I don't know if you guys have been feeling that. And I don't always like to blame retrograde on that, but it just seems consistently when there's a retrograde, tech acts fucking weird. So how many of y'all been experiencing that? But let's see who's been Chatty Cathy in the room. David Cruz, Jennifer Cruz, my mother and father, of course, to the front in the front row there. Welcome aboard. Stephanie Panaharada. Happy Lionsgate week, everybody, right? It is, 8/8. So, the astrology isn't so on board with what they call Lionsgate to be, but it's a great day for numerology that it's 8/8. So, and the other things that are going with astrology, is very powerful and unique that we could take advantage of. And I woke up this morning and you all going to kind of give me crap for this, but I had 8,888 emails on my notification on my, on my mail. So, you're all like, why do you have all those emails? Well, I have different email boxes in there, and every time someone books a session, it gives a receipt and the booking. So I had just all that from, backup of receipts for booking this stuff. But yeah, 8888 was the synchronicity of my mailbox this morning. So, and so I'm not going to really go much into Lionsgate. You guys have astrologer channels that y'all watch, get into that more so. We're going to read the collective current and collective energy ahead. Caroline Catton, good to see you. Tommy Garassi, good to see you as well. Great you having a Thursday night. Wonderful Mod Nita is in the room, so if you want to get your questions in, get your questions in now, because I will be closing them down very early. It's $15 for a card pull, $20 for one question, $30 for two questions, and $40 for a live video. The PayPal and Venmo links are in the description below. And you, with the live videos, you can only do Venmo because I cannot respond and reply to you on PayPal for some reason. So I would have to reply to you to send a link and to call in. So get those in now before we close them up. SP Group, good to see you. Janelle Haugen, good to see you as well. Catcher Oracle Magic, great to see you. Welcome aboard. Lillian Aurora. Hello, Weshi Mosher. Tonight, you made it tonight. Yes, it's been some time. I've seen that name fly by. So welcome aboard. Good to see you tonight as well. It's been an interesting May, June, July. So a lot of people got lost. Now they're coming back. So Rubian Albers, good to see you. Hello from Oregon. Well, hello to Oregon. You're coming from Oregon. Horses Triggers Hope, good to see you. Stephanie Panahada again. SP. James Porterfield, good to see you. Welcome aboard. BBB, hello. Thank you for the compliment. It's always nice to hear that you look great. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. And whoever, Kate Yo, good to see you as well. Genevieve 123, thank you. Another compliment on my appearance. I appreciate that. What about the other days? I'm kidding, by the way. It's like, you look good tonight, but what about the other days? Do I look, nah, maybe? So, but thank you for the compliments. I appreciate it. Anyways, those of you who are new or watching, I cannot see you. Can only see who's chatting at the moment. I will start with a collective read. And the collective read, I like to use tarot and oracles to do so. And I don't need that for my sessions or with individual reads, but I do it for a collective purpose, just to kind of get a gist of where to go collectively. And then we'll get into the topic. And the topic is side effects and symptoms of a spiritual awakening. So if you're going through a spiritual awakening, well, how do you know? And what are the signs of such? But also, how do you deal with the symptoms? We'll get into that. And we'll keep it nice and short, and then we'll get into the live reading. So let me shuffle these cards now. Give me a moment. That's very sweet, Genevieve. I was just being teased. I'm just teasing you. All right, let's see how these cards go shuffling. All right. They're okay, because I always say, we see how the cards shuffle with the energy. They're shuffling sharply, I would say. But I would say that, and then sometimes they start flying out nowhere. All right, we ready to pull here? Okay, I just gotta feel when it's ready. Okay, one more shuffle. Seems like you guys have got introspection work, but doing a lot of questioning yourselves, it seems like, based on the way these cards are going. Okay. Yeah, I have to reshuffle. These cards are not so clear. Give me moments. This is part of being live, guys. I have to get these cards right. Okay, because they're very sloppy. Oh, yeah, they're just all over. So I'm going to channel. I'm not going to use so much of the cards today. I'm going to just rely on my channeling because these cards are all over the place. They are scattered. So I'm going to use my channeling abilities to channel the message tonight. And you got the cards will be kind of a guide, but they're not being so clear. But the sloppiness within it is being very clear. Okay. All right. Give me a couple seconds as I tune in and we'll start. How comfortable are you? That's a question I'm going to ask you. And what do you define comfortability to be? Because a lot of times when we rely on those crutches that we have in our lives, we find the uncomfortable to be comfortable, and we don't realize how we've made the uncomfortable so comfortable for us consistently. So there's been rifts within the past few months as I've been, predicting, astrologically, but also collectively with the energy, that they're allowing us to feel a little uncomfortable. A little anxiousness, a little trepidation, right? A little introspective work that's being happening right now is making us a little uncomfortable. And that's a good thing because uncomfortable means you're setting up for change. And a lot of people out there don't like change. But if you allow yourself to kind of find comfort in that uncomfortable state as it's happening, and you allow yourself to kind of understand what you're truly feeling amidst the uncomfortable energy, boom, the key arises. And you start understanding what you've been doing for so long that's creating that uncomfortable, comfortable energy within you, which again is that loop that I always talk about, the internal psychological loop. No change, no evolution, just the same thing, the same loop, and you'll understand what's put you in that, and then the navigation of how to get out of that. So when you're comfortable, usually when you're comfortable, you can actually be more aware of your surrounding, what's going on and so forth. But many people are comfortable, but they have that undercurrent of anxiety, which tells them that whatever comfortability that they created for themselves isn't so comfortable. Now it's time to start looking and dissecting what the anxiety is really telling us. And I always say anxiety is just a result of how much we are listening to ourselves or not. So, of course, if the anxiety level is kind of low, then we're kind of listening to ourselves or kind of considering ourselves, but we're not really trusting our intuition to take those leaps. But if the anxiety is very high, we've completely abandoned our inner voice. It's like a panic mode. And the only way we can get through the panic mode is to understand what the inner core self is telling us. And if we don't want to hear it and listen to it with the intuition, with the inner mind, well, then it's going to start popping up in your situations around you too. Bloop, bloop, bloop. And you should be asking yourselves, okay, now I'm not comfortable. And when people start seeing the differences or the indifferences to what they're experiencing or wanting in their life, they get uncomfortable because it's not what they want. And so ask yourselves, what is really uncomfortable for you and why is it uncomfortable? Why can't you do it? Why can't you make it comfortable for yourself? For example, if these circumstances around you are starting to kind of fall into pieces or starting to fragment, it could be relationships, it could be job, it could be your financial situations. Ask yourself, why do those situations, when they're out of balance, make you uncomfortable? What can you do to make it to be in a functionable mode for yourself? How can you get that relationship when it's uncomfortable for you to talk about certain things or it's uncomfortable based on what the indifferences are? What can you do to bring the comfortability in the situation to level it out? Right? Because what uncomfortability really is just being unbalanced, imbalanced, and not really having a level ground with whatever you're dealing with. For example, if you were laying on the beach and things are kind of crooked, you would not be comfortable if there was like lopsided mounds in the sand. You have to kind of level it out so you can find your comfortability. We need to be doing that in our circumstances too, leveling things out to make things comfortable for us. Because as I always say, and this is a far stretch from the conversation we're having now, but the goal is to be objective and unaffected, to be able to process things without judgment so that you can work with it, evolve from it, and pull the wisdom from it, right? So if you're not doing that now, you want to find some sort of way to be objective enough to make the uncomfortable comfortable so you can actually process what you need to process. And allowing yourself to say, this is a time of growth and change. So there's got to be, of course, deep down inside, we always want to grow and change. But when we resist that, life will force that to us because the soul has to do something to manifest that push, right? That inspiration of change. And a lot of times that will happen with circumstances changing and big blowouts. And I know there's been a lot of relationship blowouts. I've been hearing a lot with my clients and those around me, relationships blowing out of proportion and people bumping heads, or, these relationships are like becoming extreme in the sense of like almost falling apart and pulling it away. Because of what I've been saying for the past 3 months is that there's going to be a revelation time where our inner core unresolves and the residual energies, right? And the residue that we haven't quite gotten over are going to start to come up and force you to use your heart to resolve it. This is what August is about, using the heart. So it also means that you're using your heart, but you're finding out what has been not amended, what your heart has not amended and so forth, and what has not been resolved, and what is that residual energy still, that residue that's still lingering, that's blending into your behaviors unconsciously, that's causing and creating, deprivation and conflict. That's being revealed right now. It's coming out. It's coming to the surface. And so if you allow that process, say, I'm uncomfortable during this, but I'm going to find ease through it so I can work with it, you will find comfortability. You will find a leverage in the circumstance. And when you remove the judgment from it, I think the thing that caused the most pain for people and deprivation and limitation is judgment. Judging themselves for why they did or did not do something, judging somebody else for why they did or did not do something, judging the circumstance that they shouldn't be in the circumstance. So judgment actually removes your perspective from being current and present in the moment. And that's very important that we understand that, we're not seeking comfortability. Being comfortable isn't the goal, it's a result. And so we have to understand, what can I do to have these results? And if there's a result of uncomfortability, let's work it through so I can be comfortable. And comfortable needs to be redefined too, because a lot of people are comfortable not addressing the problems or swiping things under the rug or running away from their problems. That's comfortable for a lot of people. But those people who do those things will always have anxiety. How comfortable is that? That's the paradox. They're so comfortable in anxiety, but they're comfortable not addressing things. So we want to hit it head on so we can truly live in a comfortable state. But in that comfortable state, also, again, it sounds cliche, but it's true. It comes from the heart. And this is the moment of this August that we're in, this Leo season that we're in, this 8-8 manifestation of lines, get all that stuff we hear about is really about the focus of the energies of using the heart right now. And the power behind doing so and the activation of doing so and what that really means. And, a lot of people are very two-dimensional about using the heart. They think, just love people, just be kind to somebody. That's great. It's great to express empathy, but it's also, what are you doing to be kind for yourself? What are you doing to treat yourself with kindness? And, avoiding those issues that are within and just putting them aside, that's not being kind to yourself. And inherently, that would also be unkind to others around you who have to deal with those types of behaviors too, because what you present and what you're reserving and I would say silencing within yourself becomes very loud to other people. And then they have to deal with your silence, so to speak. So understand, no matter what, if you're trying to remain safe, it's not going to benefit or actually end up manifesting that in the long run. It will build up, right? So now's this time. Start from the heart. And I'm like, dude, start from the heart, bro. The way I said that was funny. But start from the heart right now. And the heart is very layered, it's multifaceted. And sometimes we've got to heal the portions of the heart that have been abused, deprived from experience in our past. And so those, I would say, voids, those wounds in the heart, when they are left unhealed, what happens is we then deprive ourselves of things that can actually heal it. Because we just don't want to avoid it. We want to be comfortable and not go through it again. When actually we need to be looking at healing those wounds and actually understanding how to evolve and to actually heal it for ourselves and nurture for ourselves, so then we can then move forward and be expressive and not deprive ourselves of the good aspects, the good polarity of the things we experience that were negative in a sense. We can understand there's a goodness to this too, right? So it's very important for us to follow that right now. And don't hesitate. I said this back in May. Those who aren't doing the work are going to feel the shitstorm in August. I said it, and it's happening. I've seen it. It actually became prematurely in July, actually, the shitstorm, and people not resolving things. So people are forced out of relationships, forced out of those jobs, forced out of their homes, because they've been resisting the change that they know they need to be making. And so if you at least just embrace the change, you embrace the fact of these realizations that are popping up, these uncomfortable realizations. And I'm saying to yourself, you're comfortable right now, you'd be so busy applying yourself that you wouldn't be thinking about comfortability, you'd be thinking about how productive you are. Those are people who are really comfortable during this time of now, because it's about time about productivity and being productive and showing up. But those who are uncomfortable, you have some work to do, you have some resolutions to do within yourself. And it shouldn't be that hard to do so. But now to kind of like lead into our topic, which is all about symptoms of a spiritual awakening. This is one of them. When you start going through a spiritual awakening, you start recognizing all those little unresolved tidbits in your subconscious that are coming to conscious manifestation. It's part of it. And a lot of that realization is not comfortable at all for a lot of people. Many people built crutches of avoidance, crutches of, keeping themselves in hibernation mode. A lot of people have made different crutches that kept them in isolation, deprivation mode, simply because they don't want to avoid repeating the same things in the future. But what they're doing is they're just depriving themselves of goodness, of growth, of expansion, of experience, of love. Instead of resolving the unresolved within themselves, right? Because they don't want to be uncomfortable. When you face the uncomfortable energy, that's a side effect of a spiritual awakening. You're going to be a little uncomfortable. That's, I would say, step one of a spiritual awakening. You're going to be a little uncomfortable about things that realizations of self. And so, but what we have to do is work with and understand, okay, I can always grow. Just like riding a bicycle when I was a kid. I didn't know how to do it, so I fell off. I got back on, started riding it again. That's what we're doing in life. We're doing the same freaking thing. We're just learning. We get off, we pick ourselves up and try to do it better. Then we get comfortable. We can start doing with our eyes closed. Unconsciously, we can start doing it. And so, not that we'll be living life unconsciously, but we'll be so in mastering of the rhythm, the default of it, we wouldn't have to overthink things anymore. Right? So, and another symptom of the side effect is loneliness, actually. When you have a spiritual awakening, you start feeling alone. You start feeling misunderstood. And that's only because as you're evolving, you start growing out of people that have been around you for so long who didn't quite have those realizations or that expansive energy or perspective on things. You're going to feel alone, like no one understands it. But it's not the fact that no one understands you. The people that you've had around you no longer understand you. It's time to start seeking outside and expand and grow out of those relationships. So loneliness is going to be another side effect of a spiritual awakening, is that you start feeling alone, but at the same time, you're starting to focus more of your individual growth and being more self-centered, centered with self. That's very important. We should understand when someone tells someone that they're self-centered, it's always like a negative thing that, oh, they're so self-centered because that person's just selfish. They want more from that other person. But to be centered with the self is a goal. It's a mastery, right? Because when we do, they want to express and share that with others. And then that loneliness kind of eradicates. You realize there's always people around to connect with. I'm always sharing with people, always talking with people. Then you start seeing through the people that really resonate with you. You stop tolerating things just for the sake of tolerating things. You start diminishing your expectations on things and start realizing everything's about a growth and a process. Where am I at? Where do I show up in the scheme of things? And then you start becoming more, I would say, hell-bent of how you're actually participating in life, that you become more heart-focused, I would say, more expressive from the heart, but more in tune to what your path is going forward. And more clear, more free to express, right? So, again, a spiritual awakening is almost like you're also kind of doing a detox. And, people are probably not going to understand you. They're probably going to shut you out a little bit, and you're going to realize that, but that would be kind of a negative side effect, another negative symptom of spiritual awakening. Another symptom of a spiritual awakening is a burst of creativity. A burst of creativity, almost like you don't know what to do with it. You're like, I have so many ideas. And so the problem is a lot of people, they get all these ideas. They think that they have to do all of them. It's like, you don't have to do all those ideas. Find one that resonates with you. There'll be a bursting of opportunity. That's a wonderful thing. But the issue with that is it means it's going to require a lot of change too. So like we said in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of uncomfortability that happens when you're going through a spiritual awakening, a lot of that realization of self and what you need to purge and change and evolve into. And so that also will be a change of whatever you're doing, change of participating in your opportunities. It could be a move, could be a new career change, a new relationship. All these changes will start becoming to your availability, I would say, to your conscious awareness, and you'll be forced to choose. You have to choose something. Especially all these different creative ideas, be so creative. You'll have to merge into another environment. That's a shift. It's a major shift. But again, I just want everyone to see it like when you shift, then the world's got to shift, and your surroundings have to shift too. You can't change, still stay pivoted in the same vicinity, the same area, same direction. You move, then everything else has to move too to accommodate. And we have to think this way so we don't deprive ourselves of that growth and change just because it's uncomfortable. Right? And so another symptom of a spiritual awakening, you see through the bullshit. This is a wonderful one. You see through the bullshit. You can actually collectively see what is going on in the media. You understand the bullshit that's going on with the media, within the politics spectrum, and all the facades of the bullshit. You see right through it. And, some people go so far out there, they become very conspiratorial in their thinking. They go so far out to seeing beyond the bullshit that they go so far out there that's not true. I always say we got to bring ourselves back home and understand I'm seeing through the bullshit, but it's not all the way out there either. It's the whole scheme of conspiracy theories and so forth. But you start seeing through the bullshit and you stop tolerating it. You stop allowing yourself to engage with it so much and to affect you. You start realizing this shouldn't affect me any longer. You see through those layers, those veils. And, a symptom is that you want to do something about it. That's another symptom of a spiritual awakening. You start saying, but I want to do something about that. I got to do something differently. I want to educate people, or I want to go maybe work in that space to help the unfortunate, or I just want to talk about something. You're going to feel the need to express and share your perspective on things. That's a huge symptom, almost like you can't shut up. It reminds me of those Christians who are born again. They want to shout it from the rooftops. I'm saved by Jesus. I got to tell everybody, right? It's like that. You want to speak up about everything and vocalize your opinion. Another symptom is you want to vocalize your opinion. You want to express. You want to get it out of you because you feel that your perspective is valid and it can bring great change. That's another aspect of a spiritual awakening. You don't devalue your voice. You want your voice to shine. You understand there's an opinion, there's a perspective, there's an in-tune point of view that I have that needs to be expressed, and you'd want to. It's a great symptom of spiritual awakening. Now, not everybody's a speaker, not everyone's a mentor in that sense, but I'm just saying, even with friends, with family, you just want to speak up. And so another symptom to correlate with that is you'll feel delusional too. You'll have delusional experiences. Spiritual experiences will start happening, you feel delusional. And understand it's okay to feel that. I'm not saying to go and off and just bank on the delusional feeling, but understand there will be spiritual experiences that happen. You'll be able to predict things more accurately. You'll start seeing the future. You'll start seeing things unfold that there's no way you would know they would unfold, and they happen. You might start seeing apparitions. You might start catching things at the glimpse of your eyes. And there's a lot of different layers. Have you all heard me explain the dimensions of spirit? That you might be just picking up a residual energy in your home or where you're at because you're so in tune now, and your channel is open, right? So you start getting a message from spirit, from guides. You start seeing more synchronicity around you. That's another symptom of a spiritual awakening. Is that right? And that alongside with all the mystical stuff, when you have a spiritual awakening, you start becoming more in tune to like a past life energy or past life connections, or you start understanding there is a past life that maybe's happening in my life, where you start being clear about your karma in your life too. If you're not so dived deep into the mystical side of things, you might start realizing, I'm seeing the patterns in my life and the karma. I'm seeing the thread here that needs to be resolved. All that becomes available to you. Because only your intuition, only your psychic eye can really look at that very clearly this way. And so you will. And so that's a wonderful symptom and side effect. And so that will increase your intuition. That will increase your ability to channel spirit in that way as well. Right? And in correlation with that, another symptom of spiritual awakening is you have a desire to change. You have a desire to change. I didn't even change this banner. Speaking of change, I didn't even change this banner to let people know where we're at. You have a desire to change. You have a desire to do something different. You might change your hairstyle. You might change your clothing style. You just have a desire to change and to form a new persona, a new outlook. There's a desire for that change because it's so that you want to expand on your expression. It's a wonderful symptom. And the last and final symptom that I'm going to mention is there's a lot more of them. Just being brief for the moment. Is that you don't take yourself so seriously. That's a big symptom of a spiritual awakening. You don't take yourself so seriously, which means you don't judge yourself for shit. Like, yeah, I did that, so I'm learning from that. Everything we talked about in the collective read, you become a master of. It's the self-reflection. You desire for change. You desire to see the kinks, or desire to see the things that you might be doing that could be causing conflict or causing deprivation or causing issue or causing chaos. You're hungry to understand these things. And that in itself creates the phrase that I always say, the objective and unaffected experience. Because when you dive deep, you start tuning into empathy, you start diving deep into how you process emotion, you dive deep into why things actually manifest the way they manifest because of emotion or because of thought, because of focus, or because of deprivation. And you start seeing that empathetic lens through other people and understanding why they're experiencing what they're experiencing as well. And so because of such, the more you do that in different layers, you become very objective about why things happen. There's always a reason for something. And you become unaffected by it because you understand that this physical world is designed very perfectly based on our own karma and our own expressions, individually and collectively. It's just results of our behavior. And there's no one to blame for this, right? But that's I would say that the most important symptom that manifests from a spiritual awakening is the objective and unaffected energy, and be able to participate in life without disdain. And everything in your life becomes doable and malleable and workable. Nothing becomes impossible. You become content of where you're at and where you're going to. And with that, though, when we start participating and projecting that behavior in reality, things manifest. That's real manifestation. That's where things fall into alignment. That's where things manifest. That's where the perfect job aligns with you. That's where the perfect relationship aligns with you. That's when the financial, woes that you had turn into financial flow. Right? Because you've understood now, I need to observe, be objective, repair, recalibrate, and participate and express. And I'm maneuvering around reality. I'm actually finding the right energy that matches my energies. I'm finding the parallels to the vibe that I'm expressing right now. So it's not coming from nowhere. I'm doing a dance in the universe. I'm working with that energy, and I'm finding the energy of right calibration, of similar calibration. And that's the expression, that's the expansive energy that we talk about, the objective and unaffected energy that I always talk about, per se. You find that flow. And everything becomes beautiful in that case. But the only way, again, to go to that future is to resolve. Not let go of the past, resolve the past. Now, before I close this, I hear so much stuff about cord cutting and that cord cutting bullshit. Please don't fall into that cord cutting crap. It's so stupid. It's nonsensical. Someone else going to cut a cord. You have someone you cannot disconnect from your experiences, nor the people that you've had experiences with. They're there to help you to evolve, no matter what the circumstance is. They should be a badge of honor, a notch on your belt. That that was a relationship that was challenging. Can't cut the cords. I'm going to evolve and transform that energy, because you can't destroy energy or create or destroy energy. You can only change its form. So you can't disconnect a cord. You got to resolve, because you may have disconnect the psychic cord, but then you still have the unresolved within your subconscious. So what are you going to do with that now? This cord is cut. So because the unresolved is going on in your subconscious, that cord will form. Even some woo-woo idiot cuts it for you. It's bullshit. Don't fall for this stupid bullshit. We need to stop looking at mystical energy as being out there somewhere and thinking all this like, I'm just in this la-la-do-lulu state. No. Being spiritual is being grounded. Being spiritual is confronting the aspects of your physical life and physical world, is addressing the unresolved in your physical life and your physical world, not detaching from it. That's spirituality. All these spiritual gurus, all this stuff to do, all these high dimensional bullshit stuff that you can't even get to unless you resolve your physical traumas and karma. It's just misleading people just to detach and dissociate from people just because they're not on the right vibration, the right frequency, which is more bullshit. And then that's not to say don't set boundaries out, and of course, and like remove people from, of course. But I've seen people jumping ship on things just because of, I just saw I have an awakening, I deserve better. It's like, but do you understand what type of deserving better you want? You're just emphasizing your abandonment issues, or your deprivation issues, or your lack of wanting to commit issues. I've been seeing consistently the past 3 months with my reads. Resolve what you started. Resolve what you didn't resolve or clear up. That's spirituality. And once we do this, then of course, then we allow ourselves to move on, and we get to enjoy the things that we say that we want, the things we say we've been deprived of. But this cord cutting bullshit, toss it in the garbage. Doesn't do anything. It's a bunch of bullshit. The twin flame thing, and this whole idea that there's just one person out there waiting for you. Sorry, there's millions of people out there that can connect with your energy. There's not that one person that you're seeking. And if you did decide to align with that prior to incarnating, you would know this and wouldn't be seeking, because your heart would know that you're just going to bump into someone at the right place at the right time. Let's remove this bullshit of fluff and out there energy, because in order to access the higher frequencies and to clear your channel, you got to clear out the bullshit physical residue that's contaminating it and that's preventing it from being open, actually, and preventing it from being a clear channel, which is your subconscious bullshit that's going to be there no matter what fluffy duffy thing you decide that you're going to do to get rid of it, or have somebody else to get rid of it, which they're not going to. So that's how you get to have a spiritual awakening. And so, and I watch in society, everybody makes everybody else responsible for their feelings and their bullshit. It's the government's fault. It's culture's fault. It's the news' fault. This person's fault. Well, they did this to me, and so I did that to them. It's like, where's your responsibility and what do you have to? And so I always said, how I react to something emotionally is my responsibility. And how I react to something. And then I need to figure out why I'm reacting that way, because I don't want to react that way, but what's causing me to react that way, solve that issue. And in the process, understand how I can calm myself down and be more objective about what I'm experiencing, so I'm not always reactive on things. And that's the problem. People are so reactive and blaming everybody else instead of just saying, I'm responsible, I'm going to change the current here, that's where it's at, this is spirituality, and if I keep diving deep into my inner core self, then I'll be more psychic, then I'll have more spiritual experiences, then I'll lucid dream. But I see people just doing like stupid things to be spiritual, like, diving into lucid dreaming, diving into psychedelics. And it's like, why are you going that? You're not at that level right now. You got to work this inner shit first. And that's why people have bad trips on DMT or ayahuasca, bad trips, because they were not ready for that. It pushed, because understand these spiritual modalities will reveal to you all of your fears and things have been depriving of you. And so if you're not ready for that, it's going to backfire. And I see many people leaving relationships because they just don't want to confront their fears, and they destroy relationships, or they destroy their jobs, or destroy whatever they're participating in, because the fact that they can't address the fears, so they think running away from it is the solution. It's like, no, you're just going to repeat the same shit over and over again because you did your spiritual guru bullshit nonsense stuff. It's false. I see it happening all the time. I always talk about this. This is something I always talk about, and I feel like I could talk about it again. I'm seeing more of this bullshit. Because I know people are coming from the heart now, so they're looking for something to make sense of it. Use your rational point of view, your rational perspective to make sense of it all. You'll get it. You'll understand it. It's not very simple. Or it's very simple. It's not very complicated. We overly intellectualize our problems, and we overly mystify spirituality, and that gets people stuck and go in the wrong directions. And then regretting the decisions that they made because they were like, oh, but I just want this transcending meditation, and just like they told me how to go. And it's like, okay, they taught you how to abandon things in your life? Okay, that makes sense. No. Don't follow this crap. That's not a spiritual awakening. It's at home is your spiritual awakening. When you feel comfortable to take responsibility for you, your behavior, your decisions, your actions, you don't blame everyone else around you, and you allow yourself to heal from those patterns, that's a spiritual awakening. All your spiritual gifts will be right at your disposal because you're clearing your channel. You're clearing your channel. You allow yourself to see things clear. You're removing the filters. Okay, I love the High Priestess card. This is a High Priestess energy vibe, I would say, this past couple weeks. Very, very psychic, And so my psychic abilities also, for myself, has been heightened tremendously during this time too. And I've been noticing it with a lot of other people too. And their intuition is rising above. That means you're doing your spiritual awakening process. And spiritual awakening just means you're awakening your soul consciousness. You're awakening yourself, your inner core. That's a wonderful thing. And then you'll start allowing yourself, like I said in the beginning, to just, that'll be your default. You don't have to try to be spiritual. Like, well, I am. I'm evolving. I understand physicality is needed. I'm not being fluffy duffy, but yes, and I think that this is where we're at right now. I think a lot of us are going in that direction. A lot of people are going in that direction of really following their heart, following their intuition. A lot of people are feeling more intuition right now. And, I'll tell you from when I first started doing sessions, the knowledge and education that people have about spirituality and their gifts has increasingly expanded, significantly expanded. Before, people didn't really know about intuition. Now people are like, I'm having dreams and predicting things. Like, it's so different now. Even with astrology, before people just knew what their main sign was. Now people know their rising and moon. It's like, people are becoming more aware now. You're all becoming more aware. We are all actually becoming very more aware about the intuitive spiritual gifts in our lives, but it also, collectively speaking too, we're in the age of Aquarius. It's all about that, coming from that space. And so I'm like, wow, like now it's gone from like having to prove people that this space exists or prove to people that, what I do is real. Now it's just like I have to like help people to do it themselves. It's amazing how we've all evolved and have been evolving now. So but I love that this is also the King of Swords is here with the Knight of Swords too. It's all about kind of like when you let go of the anxiety, when you address the anxiety, movement happens. And when you feel anxious about something, you're not listening to yourself. You're listening to everything else but yourself. You're not listening to your rational point of view, your rational perspective, which is your soul consciousness, your heart. Your heart is way more wise than your physical brain. Your physical brain is just programmed based on your past experiences. It don't know much about anything other than what you've experienced and how to avoid it. Your heart knows how to get out of it. Your heart and intuition knows how to solve those problems and where to go to get the knowledge and information that you need in the physical level to get that done. But the brain has no freaking clue. It repeats the same patterns and it'll avoid anything at all costs. So it doesn't have to, just to protect you actually. But until you take control of your brain and say, no, we're gonna heal from this and we're going in this direction. We're no longer going to do that behavior. We're going to do this behavior. So if we're not directing the brain, then we're going to be a slave to it and we're never going to evolve. We're always going to have anxiety. And I would say, imagine like, anxiety is like you're taking your heart and your soul and you're squishing it, suffocating it. It's like, get me out of here, let me out, think that way. And we have to be willing to say, I'm going to take a stand. I'm going to take a stand in my life for myself, but also for my experiences and for those around me too, that I love and that love me too. The better version you are of yourself, the better you can be there for other people too. And so, and it's time now we also start recognizing that we're not defined by our past, circumstances, we can define ourselves because of them in a positive way where we're expanding, but we should not let that define who we are or are not based on the unresolved versions of it. We can't let what our parents said or did define how our personality is or will not be. We have to detach. That's their personality. That's their experiences. This is my personality. This is my experiences. This is how I'm going to express my life. Not because mom wanted me to, not because dad wanted me to, or not because they were not around. So now I have to kind of start seeking attention because they've been around. So I'm going to do whatever I do to histrionics, get attention. A lot of people do this because they were deprived of their parenting. It's like, why are you letting that deprivation define your personality in that way? You're supposed to evolve out of that. If something negative happens, you say, I'm not going to continue that pattern. I'm evolving out of that pattern. If they were shitty, I'm going to be loving. If I had a shitty mom, I'm going to be a great mom. If my mom didn't nurture, I'm going to know how to fucking nurture myself and other people too. My dad was fucking abusive, then I'm going to make sure I'm going to take care of my son, or whatever the case is. You're going to flip that over. You don't continue it or live in spite of it. So many of you guys are unconsciously living in spite of what's happened to you. And then what that happens is you push people away, both energetically and literally, because people can sense that behavior, and you just push people away. And you literally push real love away from you because you're not finding anything that's going to correlate with this deprivation that you had that you've been living in spite of. So we have to get out of that. We have to be conscious of that. That's a spiritual awakening. That's how you get into that spiritual awakening. And you only can get there. The only access point to that is your heart. Period. Done deal. You can't get up your butthole. You can't get through your ear hole. You can't get any other holes. You get it through your heart, and that's where it manifests. That's where it brews, and that power from the heart will shoot up. Your channeling, your channel to spirit, your channel to your interdimensional Akashic records, all that spiritual energy and intellect and information. That heart will push that energy through to clear out that channel, so you become more clear and more insightful, more in tune, more clear. Okay. All right. So that's the topic. And so before we get into these live readings, we got Nina with a short little message. Take it off, Nina.
Thursday crew, what is up? I got a channel message tapped in fresh. When I was tapping in, I got this energy of changes and clarity coming into alignment, but I heard like one thing after another. I saw an image of like dominoes. When one thing kind of falls over, the rest will also kind of reveal themselves in clarity. I just heard from my guides that right now is the time to trust your higher power and trust that you do have higher power. And I heard not outsourcing your intuition, but really sitting with it and developing your intuition, because it's going to be your best ally going forward. And I heard that it's not in the micro, it's just going to be in the kind of flow energy of you activating your power one step, and then the rest will kind of cascade. Imageries of river flowing, energy opening, and kind of like this fresh start coming through. So if you've been wanting to kind of redecorate or redesign your space, Spirit's saying right now is a really great time, because you want to release any old thing that doesn't serve you, so that you can go into the rest of August really opening up that flow energy and beginning to feel that kind of momentum for yourself.
Flow. That's right, Nina. I mean, and where's that flow come from? The heart. See, Nina's saying the same freaking thing. And Nina had to get a microphone, because y'all in the back need to hear her. All right, y'all need to hear what she be saying, and it's true, and we talk about the flow, and it's like everything I was saying even before that is the flow, and you should seek your intuition, like exactly what Nina's saying. Look for it too. Like, intuition is a result, but look for it. Like, what, and that's the heart energy too. It's like I always compare it to a muscle. Like, the brain is like a muscle in a sense. The more you expand it, the more it can do. And same thing with your intuition. The more you expand, the more you can do with it. So, do it, guys. Do that. Do that. Okay. We don't really have many questions, actually, so it might be a short night. So, guys, if you want to get your questions in, get them in now. Otherwise, it's going to be closed down soon. Let me just double check my PayPal real quick. Which I'm fine. I'm always fine with a shorter night. Oops, wrong login. Let's see here. Okay. All right. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you, Kathleen. You're the best. You're the best too. You're the best. You're the best number 2, right? If I'm the best number 1, no. We're all the best number 1s, 2s, 3s. I think that whatever you see in somebody, you possess, right? So if you see someone's awesome, well, you're awesome. If you see someone's an asshole, you're an asshole. So I always say the energy we resonate with, what we react to, we relate to, and so you have that energy. We can only react to an energy we have ourselves, right? So. You're the best too. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, we have a question from Beth L. Okay. All right. Beth says, I've taken a step back this week from the man I've been seeing. He had left a message last night to say that if I didn't call him back today, that we are done. I want to know first if he has been intimate with others. Is that the question, Beth? Gosh, that's kind of harsh for him to say, if you don't come back today, we're done. Like, hello, how about how are you doing? You okay? You upset? How about checking in with you? So, yeah, I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think he's been intimate, somehow with another party. Okay. The level of intimacy could be, entertainment, not so full on, but I feel like there's a entertaining energy, with another interest, I would say, Beth. Okay. And so, but I would stand your ground on this, Beth, and just keep it the way you've been doing it now, and just kind of taking your step back, because quite frankly, I don't think that this person respects you. I think the person is all about himself, and is not really respecting your perspective on things. And I don't feel like he's taking accountability for things either. As we read in another question from another show, that blames you for things, for everything, for his own thing. So I think it's time to keep the trend of taking your step back, and I think that's smart. Give that space to someone who deserves it. I don't understand why we give so much, credit to those relationships that are just horrible, when we could be filling that space with something better. And again, I'm not saying that our relationship is perfect, even keel, but I'm saying sometimes there's relationships with issues and you work it through. You see there's a progression. There's true love there on both sides, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these relationships where they're cheating, they're dishonest, they are treating like crap, they blame everything on you. Why stay in that? You could put something else in that space. So I just say, think to yourself, Beth, what else can you feel occupy this space and time with, instead of the repetition of this nonsense, right? Stephanie Panaharara, card pull. Remember, when people are used to being in control, when they don't have that control, their true colors start to come out. And I think that you're, by doing so, and taking a step back, Beth, you're probably going to start seeing those true colors start to manifest and to unfold. As you should, because that should be a deal breaker, a deal breaker for you. In that sense, this doesn't really bother me. This right here. Okay, there we go. Oh, Stephanie. Okay, well, you just did a card pull today, so 3 of Pentacles is all about community. So specifically, I think that you will be connecting with people in your field, and making bigger connections. And I think more so with work is clientele, new clients, new connections to clients, right? New relationships being established with that communal card. So that's what that's really trying to say too. Ten of Cups is, excuse me, is to me the card of if I had to pull one card that means the ultimate happiness card, it would be the 10 of Cups. You can even see by the imagery that the rainbow and the people hugging and the family and all that stuff. It's just it's a continuation of a completion and evolution of happiness and joy and things the seeds that you planted manifesting. The seeds that you've planted, you're seeing to come to fruition. All the hard work you put into things, you start seeing that to come into fruition. So this is really kind of saying enjoy that right now. you know. And with the Ace of Wands, you know, right next to that, it's all about creativity and creative juices flowing. So, and again, I don't want people to think when you say creativity, it means like art, visual art, or something artistic. Creative just means also your creative approach to things. So in this case, you might have a more creative approach of how you approach clients, how you approach your work or your relationships and so forth. You'll feel a creative juice flowing in that retrospect, you know. So, and you know, with the Ten of Cups, again, like you're finding that completion. You know, and it doesn't mean life ends and it just stops there. Like, I feel complete. I feel things are like really together, and it sees that planet of manifest. So now I have good sights of where to go from here. And so it's only gives you more excitement of how to continue on in the future. And so, and the last card is a star card, which is, I mean, you got all these great cards. Star card is really kind of, you know, I mean, let's take that literal here, you know, that you are the star of the show here. You're starting to shine bright, right? You're starting to understand what it's like to do what you want to do in your own timing. So it's becoming center focused in a positive way, but also you're allowing yourself to be more vibrant and with your energy. So that'll attract a lot of different modalities of people, a lot of experiences with your intuition, you know. So, so it's a lot of greatness, goodness there, Stephanie. So so keep going. All right. And I went extra for card pull for you because you're a doll. Okay, next we have a question from Sophia. Do you feel like I have a good chance if I applied for a GM role for da 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 da, and if how she feels toward me applying? Thank you so much. Let me see. I feel like with this specific individual, Sophia, I feel like I heard brush off was a term I heard, so I feel like she might just like kind of brush it off if you did. Like, okay, yeah, sure. You know, you might have to like I hate to say this, you might have to kind of kiss her ass a little bit in order for her to like, you know, push things through for you, or, you know, realize that you're serious about it, you know. So I feel like, you know, she might like downplay it, you know, your application for that, you know, and you might have to show that you're serious and be consistent with her on that. So it's not so there's anything like personal. I just feel like she might downplay it, or you might have to like be on her about like that you actually are serious about this. And, you know, I just like she needs a little bit of ass kissing in that sense. I don't know why, but so I would definitely, it doesn't hurt, of course, to apply, so do so. But I don't feel like she'll prevent it, but I feel like you'll have to like do something to make sure she'll take you seriously about it. You know, I don't know. It's weird with that. That's sweet. That's sweet, love. Thank you, Stephanie. Well, you always are strong and better. So I just help you to express it, help you to realize it. Okay. Card pull for Genevieve. I'll just say that. I don't need to say the last name. And Nina, if you can send a message for those if they want to get their questions and get them now, but if not, I will be closing it after this card pull, and then we'll close out. Close it out, yo. Close it out. I didn't check my PayPal either. I'll do it after this. Okay, card pull for Genevieve. Yeah, and the tech, like even last week, the tech, like the live show, like ended. What? Give me something other than this too. The lowest card. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So I'm trying to read the message of this, Genevieve. I'm just going to pull it because you got the Lover's card, the Two of Wands, as well as the World card. So the cards are talking. So I'm like, okay, what does the Lover's card really mean? And with the Two of Wands next to it, saying like you got to make a choice. So so perhaps there will be a position or situation, if not already, you'll be forced to choose between two different interests or two different loves. Now that could be relationships, or it could be actually loves as far as an interest, in a sense, like a hobby or something, or two career choices or something like that. But when the Lover's card is usually relationships, but it could be more than that too, that you have to be forced to choose. But whatever you choose, you have to make sure you're choosing in lane of what's going to benefit you in the future long term. Like, don't be focused on short term, be more focused on long term and how things will complete in your future in the bigger picture. Okay, so if this is two relationships, one you have to choose from, or two ideas when it comes to career, you're gonna have to make sure that you can follow the one that's going to be long term. Okay, so this is more like advisory of the future. So I think you'll understand when that happens what that means, right? So it's like a preparation. Prepare for this. Because the world card to me is it's literally with the world, but it's also like allowing yourself to complete your life cycle too at the same time. But with these cards two together, it's just talking about making a choice about two ideas, two loves, two interests, two loves, or even I like to take it as far as it doesn't just have to be relationships; it could be just two things that you're passionate about. And so when it comes to that point, always think ahead about what's going to be more long term for the future, and you'll be good. So. And interesting, the Four of Wands came out. It's about, there might be also a move, or a new home at some point unexpectedly, as well as maybe just you redo your home or find a new love for your home. I just feel newness of home energy. It's up to you maybe to figure out what that means. Maybe redo the home that you're in, or redo your space, or just shift it into where you actually do a move at some point. Who knows? That will shift. So, a lot of change actually. So yeah. And maybe that's kind of maybe that's also the two decisions. You might love two of them and have to pick one and think about more long term. So maybe that could also be the two love interests. It could also be maybe you have two homes that you love or two places that you love. You have to decide where to go and which one to pick and think about more long term. So yeah. So I mean, generally speaking, the cards are simple. It's very it's apparent there's a lot of change for you, so it's good. My brother Adam Turner is in the house. Bro, it's refreshing to hear as fuck to hear some chewing guidance. Keep up the good work. Adam, why does that feel like a template? A template compliment. Anyways, good to see you, brother. We miss you on LOL. Hopefully you return soon. To that. All right, let me just double check PayPal, and if we're done, we'll wrap it on up. And I'll be able to do a sound bath too. I don't know if people are. So it's quiet night tonight. So maybe I won't do the sound bath. I'll do it for another night, actually. Okay, just double checking PayPal, and we're closing the readings now. After I log in here. Oh, Adam, trust me. I've been hearing it a lot. Like, I've been hearing a lot of this weird, wacky shit going on with a lot of that lately, too. So, we actually do have one more card pulled from Cynthia. Cynthia A. We'll do that, too. I'll shift. Yeah, there's a lot of crap out there. I think that's the only thing that keeps me on social media, is because I feel like I have to balance out all the nonsense in spirituality. And as being another Aqua, Adam, you understand, like, I'm only doing social media because it's a mission. We don't like, us Aquas don't like social media so much. Or having to, like, look at me energy, We don't, us Aquas hate that. We just like to do our thing. And so that's why I'm just doing my thing. But my only reason being on social media is because I want to, one, be accessible to my clients so they have all information outside of our sessions, but also for those who they can't afford a full session, they have another outlet. So that's why I do this, and also to demystify and to debunk a lot of the bullshit out there and bring spirituality down to home. So, you guys are so sweet. Thank you for that. And I wasn't fishing for a compliment by saying that, but, so you're actually, well, you asked a question, so you paid for card pull, but I guess the card pull was the Empress. So if you're asking about, you start your first round of IVF, I would assume that's what you mean. Do you see positive pregnancy tests for me? The Empress card is like really all about creation, nurturing. So that's obviously the card saying yes, Cynthia. So yeah, I mean, maybe there's like two viable eggs or something. I don't know if it's, you said IUI. I don't know if, I'm not familiar with that. I'm familiar with IVF, so I don't know if you mean something of that nature. But yeah, I mean, the Empress card came pop right out because I saw $15 on like a card pull, but I saw a question. So that's cool that the Empress is really all the woman in charge, and there's a fertility aspect and there's a nurturing aspect to that too when it comes out. And so I don't know why the Two of Cups come out too. It's usually partnership, but perhaps it'd be like two viable eggs or two viable sources that may come. Not that you'll have twins in a sense, but yeah, I think that's good. So, but in time. So be patient with the process, saying too, because it might be one or two tries here, but it reads well. The card read well, actually. So, oh, that's great. Thank you, Adam. I'm trying to, but I hate that I have to be focused on views and subscribers and stuff like that. Like it's not in my blood to do that. But when people who I definitely so want to resurrect other people's intuition. So people who are intuitive or starting their intuition, journey, I need them to get their stuff going correctly too, right? So we need more people who are coming from the heart. I think a lot of people now who are tapping into their spiritual gifts, they are coming from the heart now versus people are doing it because they love it or they're interested in it, not so forth. They're trying to get money from it, And I've said this before. There's a lot of these people who went to school for marketing, and they just pick up on a spiritual trend like the law of attraction, manifestation, and so they don't care about that. They're not into it. They just know how to market something and make money off of it. And that's why it's all parroted information everywhere you go. The same fucking bullshit, the same information, just like almost like people are brainwashed saying the same things because they're all just parroting the same shit and marketing it for money. They don't really believe in that space, and then people think that spirituality, follow that fluff and bullshit, and then they wonder why things aren't happening for them, and because they're misled, so, and that shit pisses me off. It irks me to no end, And so yeah, definitely the more in tune, our world is, the more in tune the collective is, the less problems we'll face because we'll be very discerning about shit. We'll be putting the right people in office, right? We'll be putting people in the right positions of power. We'll be allowing the right people to lead, and we won't be feeding the bullshit, And so, and I feel like I just, on whatever scale, I feel like I just want to be a part of that occurrence, whatever scale it's at. I've always done it individually behind, outside of social media, and so I felt Spirit called me to do so like this nature. So if it's one person, if it's two people, it's at least I've affected someone, right? And I know it's been more than that, of course, but when I die, I want to say how much was I being a contribution to evolution? How much was I a contribution to other people's experiences as well as my own, right? So, so who knows? Who knows what happens with us Aquas and how we're going to start leading. So, but yeah. Anyways, that concludes the show. If you missed Leading Out Loud last night, there's a replay on that too as well. And I'm curious on topics. I always ask you guys just never really respond to topics. You respond to other things. But if you have topics or interests of discussions you want to talk about, fill me in, put it in the chat. Guys might put it in the chat and then I don't see it in the comments, I don't know, but like put it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe, set your notification bell. Am I a YouTuber? But I would love to like kind of do topics that you guys need to hear or want to hear my perspective on, or and so I always try to come up with what's going on with the current collective, but I feel like I've talked about everything at this point. So if you're pushing me into different suggestions of where to talk or what type of topics you want, put them in the comments, or send me a DM. A lot more people DM me than comment, but this way I can actually, I like to feel like I'm, participating in what you guys are interested in instead of just blabbing my mouth off what I think that you all need to hear. So, but all right. So I appreciate you all for coming on live. Remember, you are all the gods and goddesses of your own myth. Again, I'm actually, do I have the promo? I don't have the promo up. Yeah, I don't. I was running a promo just this week. I don't have the banner. I did it on LOL, doing a promo for doing 10% off all my sessions just for the next week, as everyone's getting resituated, kids going back to school. So I know people are kind of hurting financially, so I want to do something for y'all. And so it's a 10% off all sessions. The code is Dog Days. I don't have the banner up I didn't load it here. I did put it on LOL, but Dog Days, it's a Dog Days of Summer special that I'm doing for my sessions just until the 12th. 10% off all sessions. So if you decide you want to book a session, scottcruzpm.com and enter code DOGDAYS in the coupon aspect. They call it coupon. I hate the word coupon. When you're booking out to get 10% off of that. So just a way to kind of say... Appreciate y'all, and I already keep my prices pretty cheap as what I hear from people in the industry. I'm still pretty inexpensive based on my experience and all stuff. So I'm trying to keep things reasonable here. But I'll run the commercial too. But I'll see you all next week. And remember, guys, I appreciate every single one of you guys. You're all the gods and goddesses of your own myth. What do you want to create? Much love, and let's run the commercial. Good night, guys.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.